say yes, say okay, and now if you pan, you can see it's much more like how you have in other 3D packages. Cool. Another thing I like to do is do a bit of relayouting. So if you click on this tab, you can actually move the windows anywhere and snap them anywhere you want in the interface. So I'm gonna snap this. Actually, I'm gonna keep this over here. I'm gonna snap the outliner on my screen left side, so it sticks out like that, and the details are fine over here. This seems a little bit more efficient for me when working in the engine. So you have a more lengthy panel for all the details, because once you're working in the engine, there are so many parameters that you can change. So having a little bit more real estate in that sense really goes a long way. Alright, so let's start creating some lights. So when you start a new project, Unreal Engine gives you these default lights that you can start your scene with. But what I like to do usually is start from scratch. So what I'm gonna do is actually delete all these lights currently in our scene and pretty much start from scratch. So right now our scene is completely blank, there is no light whatsoever. So to create the lights, what I'm gonna do is use the environment light mixer. If you go to Windows, you can find environment light mixer over here. So you can create all the light systems in Unreal Engine using this option. So I'm just gonna create the skylight first. So the skylight is basically it takes the volume around your scene into account and creates bounce lights around it, so that you get more accurate shadows and reflections. It also serves as a ambient light in your scene, and this is where you plug in your HDR if you have to light up your scene. Next time I'm gonna use the atmospheric light, which is the main directional light in our scene. So this is the basic sun in our scene, and changing the direction of this would affect our shadows and stuff. Next, we're gonna create a sky atmosphere. So sky atmosphere, it will be this high dynamic sky which would be surrounding our scene and would be affecting the lights and shadows. Next, we're gonna create some volumetric clouds. So these would be animated clouds, which would also bounce lights, so that will also affect the lighting in our scene. So once all of these are created, you can see we still don't see anything in our viewport. So what you need to do is actually go to directional light, turn it off, turn it back on, and now you can see the sky which surrounds our scene over here. Pretty cool. Now let's start by creating the landscape for our scene. So for that, I'm going to be using the landscape tool in Unreal Engine. So if you go to the top, you can see there's a button called activate landscape. So if you click on that, Unreal would fill the world with this grid, which is basically the base of our landscape, and define the resolution. For this scene, I'm going to be using a 31 by 31 quad, because our camera is going to be this low and we're going to be seeing that far, and this much resolution works for me. Next, I'm going to say create. So now you can see we have our ground deployed in our Unreal scene. Now let's assign some materials to it. So you can go back to selecting the object. So if you just select that, click on landscape, you see, and then you on the right side you can see we have the properties, and inside that you can see we have a landscape material properties. By the way, in the detail panel you can also search any property you want. So if you're struggling to find a particular parameter to change, you can just type in and then Unreal will expose that particular parameter. So for this landscape material, I'm going to be using Quixel Megascan snow material. So to bring that up, if you go to content, and then you have option to Quixel bridge inside the engine itself. Before it was a
聞
standalone
こ
app
えてます
which you
か？
had to install
お、
separate from
ちょ
Unreal
っと反
Engine,
応があった。
and then you sign and bring in from that. But in Unreal 5 they have integrated it inside the engine. So if you click on that, you will have the bridge interface pop up, and then if we go into collections, so they have this new Arctic ice and snow collection. So if you go to that, so for this scene I'm just going to be using one of these snow elements, windswept snow. So I have already downloaded it. So if you just click download, and then you have to just click add after the download is done, and that would be exported automatically and added to your project. So to bring that in Unreal Engine, so yeah, if you go to the content and then open the content browser. So the content browser is the place where
お
you can
と、
bring where
あ、戻った
all
戻っ
the
た。
assets live in directories, and all the materials you can categorize them. So this is kind of a file explorer for Unreal Engine.
どうだろう。声は聞
So we're
こえ
gonna be
てい
using
る
it
の
all
かな？
quite a lot. So I'm
お、
just gonna be docking it in the layout.
同説が別に乗った。
So once downloaded, the material would be imported automatically into Unreal, and then you will have a directory called Megascan. So if you go into it, go into surfaces, fresh snow, you'll see the material over there. So all you need to do is actually select that and then drag it in the landscape material slot. So, and just like that, you will have that material assigned to our landscape. So the very first problem we see is the tiling. The tiling is quite small, so we gotta fix that. So if you double click the material icon over there, you will get to this window over here where you can tweak all the parameters of the material.
これ起
So
動
we
ま
have
でに
all
ちょっと時
these
間がかかりそう
parameters
だな。
exposed from the hierarchy script. So you need to check on tiling, and then we're just going to reduce that to 0.02 in X and Y. And then if you hit save, you see we have a much better tiling going on. And as our camera is going to be this close, I don't think we'll see much of the tiling issues, if there are any still. And another thing I want to fix, that the snow looks a little too specular. So to fix that, I'll go back into the material editor, and in the spec I'll check base spec and just reduce it to a much more reasonable value.
あかん、
Let's go
これじゃ
for
この前の二の前
0.02
だ。
and then hit save again. There you go. That looks much
た
better.
だいま、アンリアルエンジン2 5起動して
Alright,
おり
great.
ます。
So now let's start bringing our car asset in Unreal and setting up the camera, because that's gonna define how much landscaping we need to do, and we're gonna do a little bit of set dressing around it. So to do that, I'm gonna be, first of all, I'm just gonna arrange some of these lights in directories so that they are organized a little bit. So if you select all of them, and if you right click, and for some reason it's upside down, so I'm just gonna rotate it 90 degrees, just like that. 180 degree actually. Perfect. Now let's just rotate the card this way, and also maybe scale it a little bit, just like that. I'm going to be adding some mountains over there, so that should be okay if a little bit of the seam is visible, and our camera is going to be this close, so I think it's okay. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is actually add a camera to my scene so that I can do some landscaping and a little bit of set dressing around that, according to what is visible inside the camera. So let's go ahead and go to create and go to cinematic and drop in a cine camera actor, and actually open that. and put this into a new folder actually. So just click on that and then type in camera. Cool. And now if you click on the perspective option, you have the option of
まだ今、
viewing
アンリア
through
ル
the
エンジン
camera
5
and
起動中
positioning
で
it
す。
the way you like it.
ちょっと時間がかかりそうな気配。
few things is
その
to
間にちょっ
change
と
in the camera setting is
アンリアルエンジン
first I
5のチュ
want
ートリアル
to
動画を
change the
見て
film
勉
back
強
to
中で
16:9
す。
film and use a 50mm lens with the f number 1.8, which actually I would change. So we get some focal length which is much closer to what I'm used to shooting with, a 50mm lens. So cool. So I'm gonna position my camera very close to the tail light so that we get that nice shallow depth of field going on. So to tweak the depth of field, if you go into the camera and go down, I need to change these values. So right now it's much of a range from a minimum f-stop to a max. So I'm just gonna put like similar values in both of them. And so I'm making the aperture constant. And now you see everything is out of focus. So what we need to do is actually click on the sample scene depth from scene and just click on the tail light, and our tail light will be in focus, just like that. Another thing we can
これ
do
シェーダーコンパイルが終わらないと
is
進まないパターンか
so
な。
once we have that, I think I can go ahead and add the sequence, the sequencer in our scene. So the sequencer is basically, it gives you a timeline so that you can animate across it, and you can add different elements from your scene into that sequence, and do different camera cuts and stuff like that. But for this tutorial is going to be a very simple, just one element in the sequencer, which is the camera, and the camera will be going from right to left, just doing a very smooth pan. Alright, to add a sequencer to your scene, you have to go into your cinematic settings and then add a level sequence, and then Unreal will ask you what you want to call it. So I'm just gonna call it tail shot, and then it says save. So once you do that, you will have a timeline window in your project, and you can just snap it and dock it to your UI. Cool. So once you have that, you can add in elements to the sequencer. So you can select your camera and just drag it, and then that particular camera would be added to the sequencer. So before I start animating the camera, what I would like to do is adjust the UI a little bit so that I have my view from camera somewhere over here, and then I can adjust things in the perspective view and actually see how it's looking through the camera always. So to do that, what we can do is go into Windows, and then if you go to viewports, you can add one other viewport, and this is gonna be my camera view. So I'm gonna switch it to the camera view, and then you can dock it somewhere over here, and then this view could be the general perspective view. Alright, so now we are ready to animate the camera. So make sure the camera is selected, and if you look at the sequencer, you can see we have transformation keys over here. So if you just click on this add new keyframe, it will add a keyframe on that frame, and then you just go to the end of your shot, the Epic Marketplace. So if you Google Epic Marketplace, you'll be directed to this page over here, and then you can just search automotive materials, and you will find this automotive materials pack, which is a collection of high quality
今のうちに、マーケットプレイスから。 うん。持ってる。あ、ん
materials for cars, both interior and exterior. So I'm gonna download that and so open the launcher. And once downloaded, you will have the option to add to a project. So I'm gonna be adding it.
お。うん。
It to the current project, which is the let's say show all projects, and that's my project over here. So there's a version discrepancy. So right now only 4.26 of this automotive project could be added to the Unreal Engine 5 project. So I'm just gonna select that and then say add to project. So it will take some time till it's adding it to our current project, and I'll pause the video and be back when it's done. Alright, once the project is added, if you go back to Unreal Engine and then go into your content browser, you can see we have a new folder called Automotive Materials. If you go inside it, under Materials, there are different folders for interior and exterior. So we'll go into the exterior, we'll go to the car paint, which is this folder over here, and then we have all the different varieties of car paint over here. So I'm gonna be using the car paint dark blue, and just gonna be dragging it on this exterior piece of the car, and just like that we have our material assigned and it looks beautiful, right? Okay, cool. Moving ahead, let's start adding some materials to the tires. So let's go back and let's look for tires folder. So we should have in exterior, if you go to rubber, and I'm just gonna pick one of them. I'm gonna choose the rough one and just make sure the tires are selected. We'll add that in. And for the rims, I'm gonna be jumping into the metal folder and adding a brushed, maybe a frosted rim material over there. Cool, that's it. For the glasses, I'm gonna be going into exterior glass and then adding one of these windshield glasses on the mirrors. There you go. Alright, moving on to the tail lights. If you select the tail light geo and you see that it's a combination of an exterior glass and the tail light, and then some reflectors. So let's start by adding the actual tail lights material. So if you go into lights, you see we have this ML lamp red self-illumination
これめっちゃ
material.
時間かかるやつ
So
や。
just gonna add that, and for the reflectors, if you go back, we have a folder called reflector. I'm just gonna add this orange reflector material. And for the exterior glass part, I'm just gonna add one of these real-time ray traced glass material on top, and just bring it on like that.
うん先にやっとくべきだったんだ、これ。あ、しまった。うん。ちょっとした放送事故だな、これ。どうしよう。 あ、ジョージさんお帰りなさい。声聞こえてますかね？テストテスト。あ、やっぱりさっき聞こえてなかったんだ。すいません、失礼いたしました。えっと、今日はアンリアルエンジン5を触ってみようと思ったんですけれども、ちょっと起動に時間がかかっていて、で、おまけにちょっと余計な、ちょっとインストール項目を、項目というか、この、今日はですね、アンリアルエンジン5で自動車を、聞こえてますよかった。自動車をちょっと綺麗に映してみたいと思って、こういうのをダウンロードしてみたんですけど、ちょっと容量が 2.7GB もあって、思ってたよりも時間がかかっちゃって、で、おまけにちょっと CPU も今100%いっちゃって、アンリアルエンジン5の起動が余計に遅くなっちゃったっていう状況になってます。で、今、ブラウザも閉じて、えーっと、できるだけ CPU も軽くしていこうと思っているところで、す。えーっと、とりあえずアニアルエンジン5が起動しないと何もできないという状況で、今しばらくお待ちいただければと思います。BGM もないのはちょっと寂しいな。よし。えーっと、マテリアルの方は終わった。でも CPU100% なんだよな。何が。あ、はーい。作業のともにどうぞよろしくお願いします。うん。あ、やっぱ消えてる。ちょっと BGM がないのは寂しいので、なんか流しますね。安定のシャローさんで。これぐらいかな。さて、あとはアンリアルエンジン5の起動を待つだけなんですけれども、しばらく時間がかかりそうです。ちょっと、起動が完了するか、誰かが来るか、するまでちょっと自分の声をもミュートしておきます。しばらく音楽の方をお楽しみください。
you
上月さん、おはようございます。すいません。ただいま、アンリアルエンジン5の起動中です。ちょっともう1時間以上経っているのに、まだ起動も終わってないっていう低たらくなんですけども。もうちょっと時間かかりそうですかね。いやー、しまった。そうなんですよ。ただ、プロジェクトを立ち上げたばっかりなんで、時間がかかっちゃうっていうのと、あと自分のパソコンがちょっとオンボロっていうのもあって、まあ、ちょっと時間がかかってるなという感じです。ここのシェーダーをコンパイルっていうのが終われば、あとはもうちょっと早く進むんじゃないかと思うんですけども、二次制作の嫌がらせ。まさかの陰謀論が。さあ、早く起動してほしいところですが。わあ、モニターいっちゃいましたか。それは辛い。複数あるモニターのうちの一つがってことですかね。ああ、それは辛い。やばい、もう7時になっちゃう。何かおすすめはありませんかね。自分は、どこだっけこれ、エイスーツじゃなくて、ベンキューっていうものかな。ベンキューの28インチのやつ使ってますけどね。確か2万円もしないぐらいで、お買い得だったんですけど、これ買ったのももう3、4年前だから、今だともっといいものがあるんじゃないですかね。だ。うわ。ベンキューのは買ったことない。自分は結構ベンキューかエイスーツのを買うことが多いですね。うん。 分はゲームするんで、この辺り。低遅延。あ、いいさ。ウルトラワイド。いいですね。ウルトラワイド、自分もちょっと気になってるんで、買ったら感想を教えてください。もうちょっとか。いや、目玉手が。ああ、いいな、こういうの。こういう作業場、いいな。おっと。ゲーム専用のモニター欲しい。ウルトラワイドモニターとは別にってことですかね。うん。自分が気になったのは、この辺だけど、15万8600円。高っ。ちょっと待って。これは見てたらいけない映像だったかもしれない。忘れてください。自分も格ゲーをするので、できるだけリフレッシュレート高いパソコンのモニターは必須かなっていう感じですね。さて、どこまで進んだ？あと2000。やばい。出勤時間の方が先に来ちゃうかもしれない。どうしようかな。これ、ちょっと中途半端に終わっちゃったら、仕事帰ってから、ちょっ とリベンジするかな。そんな日もあるさ。ありがとうございます。仕事を休むという選択肢はありますよ。休みたいです。休めるもんなら休みたい。でも、有給使い切っちゃった。もうしばらくは休めないです。なんだろう。前の仕事は有給有り余ってたんですけどね。今回の仕事は病み上がりだったせいか、ちょっと体調を崩すことが多くて、有給ちょっと多めに使っちゃいました。1000切った。7時半に出勤なので、やるとしたら7時25分までとなります。もう、出勤準備はできているので、あとは出勤するだけという状態です。5時半ぐらいに起きて、まさかこんなことになるとは思わなかったな。500を切った。 複数セーブスロットがうまくできないんですよね。なるほど。そういえば複数セーブってあんまり考えてなかったな。俺は大丈夫か。自分はあれだ。ゲームのテンプレートがセーブ対応してたはず。コンパイルがもうすぐ終わる。進んだ。そういえばセーブに関してはあれだな。テンプレートに関してはできてるけど、新しく自分が作るグローバル変数なんかのセーブデータは自分でいじらないといけないから、その辺はちょっと大変かも。あともうちょっと頑張れ。90% いった。これ、作業10分しかできないな。始まったかな。なんでランチャーが起動した？ て、やっていきましょう。やっと起動したよ。あら。とにかく、
Unreal would fill the world with this grid, which is basically the base of our. So if you click on that,
ラウンドスケープ。どのボタンやろ。
Unreal would fill the world with this grid, which is basically the base of our landscape and defines the resolution. For this scene, I'm gonna be using a 31 by 31.
Yeah. Ah, そっか。選択に戻して。ラウンドスケープにして 31×31 ワット。
Quad because our camera is going to be this low and we're going to be seeing that far, and this much resolution works for me. Next I'm going to say create. So now you can see we have our ground deployed in our index. Now let's assign some materials to it. So we can go back to selecting the object. So just select that, click on landscape. You see, and then on the right side you can see we have the properties, and inside that you can see we have a landscape material properties. By the way, in the detail panel you can also search any property you want. So if you're struggling to find a particular parameter to change, you can just type in and then Unreal will expose that particular parameter. So for this landscape material, I'm going to be using Quixel Megascan snow material. So to bring that up, if you go to content and then you have option to Quixel bridge inside the engine itself. Before it was a standalone app which you had to install separate from Unreal Engine, and then you bring in from that. But in Unreal 5 they have integrated it inside the engine. So if you click on that, you will have the bridge interface pop up, and then if we go into collections, so they have this new Arctic Ice and Snow collection. So if you go to that, so for this scene
あと5分。えーっと、
collection. So go to that. So for this scene, I'm just gonna be using one of these snow elements, windswept snow. So I have already downloaded it. So if you just click download, and then you have to just click add after the. The download is done, and that would be exported automatically and added. So you just click download.
おう。OK。マテリアルに関しては後回し。先に。
Go to the folder. If you right click and then save.
おー。
Say import asset. So if I go to the asset folder and then I bring in the element. So we have some options over here in the import.
とりあえず起動はしたけれども、ちょっと今日のところはここまでとさせていただきたいと思います。せっかく来ていただいたのに、 こんなちょっとグダグダで申し訳ありません。自分もこれから出勤なので、皆さんもこれから一日頑張っていきましょう。最後ドタバタになって本当にすいませんでした。続きは、今日の夜やりたいと思います。もう起動してあるから8時ぐらいから再開しようかなと思います。それでは、また、午後からお会いしましょう。バイバイ。ジョージさんとフェイスさんですね、来てくださったのはありがとうございました。お疲れ様でした。皆さんも今日一日頑張っていきましょう。それでは、バイバイ。